Good evening, everybody. I was a little worried that nobody would come today. Last week I was the one who wasn't here, and I wish I had a good excuse, but actually I completely forgot last week. I'd been away from Osaka on Sunday, and for some reason on Monday I still felt as if it was Sunday, and was only at after 9 p.m. that Xuan-san reminded me of the Zen class. So I'm very sorry for that. Normally, as last time I did the Heart Sutra, I would do the Sawaki quotes today, but I want to finish the Heart Sutra before I take my trip to Europe. So today I want to talk about the Heart Sutra, and I think it's gonna be the last time, the final time. And then from next week I'm gonna be away until October, but I think Xuan-san will teach pranayama while I'm away. So as always, before I talk about the Hanya Shingyo, the Heart Sutra, let's sit together for half an hour. Thank you for joining. So now I want to get to the last part of the Heart Sutra. Let me share the screen with you. I usually and also when I do it like this, I can't switch. Okay, one more try. So this is the original text with Japanese reading and English translation by Thich Nhat Hanh. And also, as always, I want to read the text the way it's usually pronounced in Japanese before I comment on it. And those of you who know the Hanya Shingyo, the Heart Sutra, might have noticed that my way of reading it is not the traditional chanting style. If you chant it, you would chant Kanji Zai菩薩行深般若波羅蜜多時照見五蘊皆空度一切苦厄舎利子. Basically, with each, you would beat the mokugyo, it's called in Japanese, kind of the wooden fish, kind of percussion instrument. And with each beat, you pronounce one character. But the normal Japanese reading, and probably it's the same in Chinese, not each character has the same length. For example, you wouldn't say kanji zai bosatsu, but in Japanese, kanji zai bosatsu. And when I read the text before I comment it, I read it not the traditional chanting style, but the so-called normal style, to remind myself that these characters also have a meaning. But those of you who don't speak Japanese or Chinese, you don't have to worry about it. And those of you who do, I only say this so that you're not confused. Anyway, let me read it from the start. Maka Hanya Haramita Shingyo. Kanji Zai Bosatsu Gyojin Hanya Haramita Ji Shoken Goun Kaiku Do Issai Kuyaku. Shalishi Shiki Fui Ku Ku Fui Shiki Shiki Sokuze Ku Ku Sokuze Shiki Juso Gyo Shiki Yaku Bunyoze. Shalishi Ze shoho kuso fusho fumetsu fuku fujo fuzo fugen. Zeko kuchu mushiki mu ju sogyo shiki mu gen nibi zeshin I mu shiki shoko misoku ho mugen kai naishi mu ishiki kai mu mumyo yaku mumumyo jin Naishi muroshi yaku muroshi jin mu ku shu metsudo muchi yaku mu toku I mu shotoko bodai satta e hanya haramita ko shin mukege mukege ko mu ukufu only issai tendo muso kugyo nehan. That's the part until that I finished last time. So the last part, well, I will speak about that once I chanted the whole rest. So the part that starts now, that's the rest that I haven't talked about. It starts with Sanze Shobutsu. Sanze Shobutsu e hanya haramita ko. Toku anoktara samyaku sambodai. Ze kochi hanya haramita ze daijin shu ze daimyo shu ze mujo shu ze mutodo shu nojo issai ku shinjitsu fuko kosetsu hanya haramita shu soku setsu shuwatsu gyate gyate haraso gyate boji soaka. And in the end, 4 characters, Hanya Shingyo. In the part that I already talked about, Avalokiteshvara plays the main role, and she's preaching Shariputra, the wisest of the 10 disciples of the Buddha, that all he has learned is basically nothing. It all amounts to nothing. His whole wisdom amounts to nothing. And then the question is, but what do the bodhisattvas, the practitioners of the way, rely upon? If all of that is nothing, what do we rely upon? And the answer is you rely on prajna paramita. And prajna paramita, in my words, is total letting go, completely letting go of everything. Bodhisatta e hanya halamita means the bodhisattvas rely on prajna paramita. And in that moment, shin mukege ko mu ukufu only saitendo muso means there's nothing that remains in their mind. And if nothing remains in the mind, there's no obstacles. And without obstacles, there's no fear. And maybe some of you, at least myself, is reminded of that famous song by Janis Joplin, or I think originally it's not by Janis Joplin, by Chris Christopherson, Bobby McGee. Freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. So if you have something that you don't want to lose, possessions or persons that are dear to you, or yourself, your own life, of course you are happy as long as you have that, but you are unfree in the sense that you always have to live with the fear, I might lose that. I might lose my job, I might lose my house, I might lose my family, I might lose my own life. And once you're completely letting go goes so far that you accept even, well, I have to die. And it could be today, or sometimes during Zazen, you come to this point where it feels like this is my last period of Zazen. But then if you get to the point where you say, okay, let it be my last period of Zazen, I will sit to my fullest, then that makes you free. This letting go, even I don't even have a right to live tomorrow. I don't have a right to be here in 5 or 10 years. That's something that makes you free. So bodhisattvas rely on letting go. And there's nothing left in their mind that makes them free. They don't even cling to the Four Noble Truths. They don't cling to the 12-fold chain of mutual dependent arising and perishing. They don't cling to anything that makes them free. That's the part that I talked about last time. And today we talk about Sanze Shobutsu. Sanze are the 3 worlds. And 3 worlds you could interpret as the world of past, present, and future. But traditionally in Buddhism, actually it means yokai, muyokai. Oh no, it's shikikai, yokai, yokukai, shikikai, and mushikikai, I think. Yokukai is the world of desire. The world that we usually live in. I want this, I want that, I don't want this, I hate this. Stuff like that. We look through the glasses of our desire. That's yokukai in Japanese, the world of desire. Shikikai is the world of form. So maybe we get to a point in our practice where we're not slaves to our desire anymore, but we only see the form of things, the concepts. To use a metaphor that I used a couple of times is we are on the map. We don't see the landscape directly, but we only see Google Maps, so to speak. We see where we are on the map. And desire would be that on Google Map we only see, oh, there's a delicious ramen shop here, and there's a nice boutique there. We only see these delicious spots on the map. But when you're free from desire, at one point you see just the plain map. And then the third world would be beyond forms. So basically what is emptiness here in the Heart Sutra, that's the world beyond forms. And the three Buddhas, the Buddhas in the three worlds, that's Sanze Shobutsu. The next question in the Hanya Shingyo is, what do the Buddhas rely upon? Because traditionally, Bodhisattvas and Buddhas are completely different. Today in Zen, it's more or less the same. All of you, if you live today as a Bodhisattva, and living today as a Bodhisattva means to just be kind to a person, say something nice, acknowledge them, then you're a Bodhisattva already. And what do you need to do to become a Buddha? If you said these 30 minutes of Zazen, you were 30 minutes a Buddha. So today in Zen, it's very easy to become a Bodhisattva or Buddha. You just practice today as a Bodhisattva or as a Buddha. But traditionally, in Buddhism, it's a very, very long road until you can become a Bodhisattva. It takes millions of years, so many, rebirths, until you can become a Bodhisattva. And Bodhisattva is only, the stage before you finally become a Buddha. So in the Hanya Shingyo, Avalokiteshvara, who herself or himself is also a Bodhisattva, has explained what the Bodhisattvas rely upon. The next question is, and what do the Buddhas rely upon? And the answer is, they also rely upon prajna paramita. So basically they rely upon the same thing as Bodhisattvas. There's no difference. The Buddhas in the three worlds also, hanya halamita, rely on prajna paramita, and thus ko toku anoktala samyaku sambodai. Thus they gain anoktala samyaku sambodai. In Indian, I think, is anoktala samyaku sambodhi, more or less the same. It means the highest, uncomparable enlightenment. So letting go and enlightenment are the same thing. And then we come to the last part of the Hanya Shingyo, which is the Dharani. Let me share that once more. That's the part that I just talked about, and this here. Kochi Hanya Halamita, Zedai Jinshu, Zedai Myoshu, Zemu Joshu, Zemu Todoshu, Nojo Issaiku, Shinjitsu Fuko. Thich Nhat Hanh translates this as, therefore Shariputra. That's a little bit strange because in the original Shariputra is not addressed directly. So that's an addition by Thich Nhat Hanh. It should be known that the insight that brings us to the other shore, that's Thich Nhat Hanh's translation for Hanya Halamita, is a great mantra, the most illuminating mantra, the highest mantra, a mantra beyond compare. I don't know if that's good English. I would say beyond comparison, but for some reason here, a mantra beyond compare. The true wisdom that has the power to put
Can't hear. Go.
How is it now? Is it better? Better? Okay, good. So now I'm using the microphone of my iPhone. When I read the Hanya Shingyo for the first time, until then it was all very nice. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. You have to let go of everything, even the Four Noble Truths. totally letting go. And now it feels like a little bit like you're watching a movie and all of a sudden there's a commercial break. You were kind of, how do you say? You like the movie, but now there's this commercial break. Drink Coke, drink Pepsi, buy a hamburger. We have this commercial for this mantra. It's the biggest mantra, the most illuminated mantra. If you chant this mantra, you will be saved from all suffering. To be honest, I was a little bit disappointed, although of course I understand that in Tibetan Buddhism, this part is considered the most important part. That's why you have this commercial. Basically, in Tibetan Buddhism, everything that leads up to here is only to promote the mantra. The mantra is really what counts. But from the Zen perspective, this kind of promise here, it's a little bit too much. Whatever. Let's get to the mantra. That's the last part. Let me share it again. Kosetsu hanya hara mitashu. Therefore, let us proclaim a mantra to praise the insight that brings us to the other shore. And the mantra is basically the Chinese or Japanese pronunciation. I think is very close to the Indian pronunciation. The Indian pronunciation probably is gate gate, paragate, parasamgate, bodhiswaha. So now let me explain my way how I try to make sense of this last part where Avalokiteshvara, how do you say, praises this mantra. Avalokiteshvara is a bodhisattva, and I think the point of the bodhisattva is that you don't practice only for yourself, but you try to share that. You don't try to row the boat alone to the other shore, but you invite everybody else into the boat. So practicing Zazen by yourself and forgetting about everything else is also very strong practice. And sometimes it's important that even if you have nobody else to practice with you, to still continue this practice. You don't do it for the others, you do it for yourself. But also there's this other part of the practice, which is you want to share it. You want to share it. You don't want to do that for yourself. So Avalokiteshvara has completely let go. Avalokiteshvara probably is already free from all suffering. But he or she wants to share that. So he or she is inviting everybody into the boat. And I don't know, there must be an English word. The Japanese word I'm looking for is kakegoi, which is something like a cheer or something that people, how do you say while they row, so that everybody keeps the same rhythm. In Antaiji, every year in the autumn, we had this sports fest down there in the village. The village is called Kutoyama. And I would say the average age of the villagers there is somewhere around 75. There's hardly any young people. Everybody there seems to be a grandmother, grandfather. Still, every year in autumn, they do this sports fest, and Antaiji was also invited. And people in Antaiji, most of them were in their 20s or 30s, some in their 40s. So everybody was very young compared to the average Kutoyama people. And one of the things we did at the sports fest was tug of war. So the villagers were pulling the rope, and on the other side, the Antaiji people were pulling the rope. And it was usually about the same amount of people. So it's not that we were less, but still, almost every year, the villagers won. because although they were so old, and the Antaiji people, there was the young Japanese, young Europeans, Americans doing hard manual labor. Why did we lose? And the answer is the villagers, they had this kakegoi. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was something like washoi, washoi, washoi. And the Antaiji people, it was all mixed. Like, for example, the Germans would say hau ruck, but the Americans would maybe go 1, 2, 3, and the Japanese would maybe do se no. But the rhythm wouldn't, how do you say, there was no rhythm. And actually in tug of war, they don't do it at the Olympics, but I think there's competitions where people do it very seriously, and this, that everybody's doing it the same way, is very important. Basically what I'm saying here now is, why is the mantra important? The mantra is basically this kakegoi inside Avalokiteshvara's boat. And that's why it's not translated. It's not about the meaning. For example, se no in Japanese, it doesn't have a special meaning, or washoi, or the German hau ruck, for example, which is equivalent to that. There's no special meaning to hau ruck. It's just important that when everybody does this hau ruck, you do it with them. So in the case of the Hanya Shingyo, it's not so much about the gyate, gyate, hala, gyate, about the meaning. One way to translate the meaning is let's go, let's go, let's go together to the other shore. But it's not about the meaning. It's about when you chant, you do it together, just like rowing in a boat. So here at the end of the sutra, Avalokiteshvara is teaching us, I don't know, does anybody of you know the correct English word that I'm looking for? Kakegoi, is there a good English word for that? She's teaching us this kakegoi, this kind of cheering spell, whatever. Any idea for the English word? But basically, that's from my side for today. That's all I have to say about the Hanya Shingyo. Sorry for talking so much. Maybe Xuan-san can give us a Chinese translation, and after that, if you have questions or things you would like to share, you're welcome to do so.
今天老师讲的最后的部分，我简单的说一下，因为老师讲的特别长了，我大概其就是我们上课老师读的这个经文的方式，其实和我们传统上唱诵的方式是不一样的，它也是有断句、有节奏的，就跟我觉得跟瑜伽的那个唱诵有点像。佛教里面就是心经的唱诵也是有断句的，它也刚刚老师唱了几句啊，它也是有节奏和音律的。然后前面其实重点的部分就是说一切皆空，然后它前面是我开头我就不重复了，然后上节课讲到就是菩提是我看啊心无爱挂，然后后面讲到无挂碍故，无有恐怖啊。就是说，当你的头脑或者心中没有意念升起的时候，其实是没有障碍的，你就无所畏惧，没有恐怖。我们的顾虑和恐怖，其实来源于你心中或者是你的脑子当中升起了一个意念。然后当你意识到其实没有什么可失去的时候呢，反而就平静了。我们之所以有这些障碍，或者是感觉到恐怖，其实是你不想失去。比如说，你不想失去一个地位、一个位置，或者是你不想失去一个人，甚至是你自己。比如说，你不想失去你的生命。当然，我们有的时候呢，非常的高兴，同时，其实在你非常高兴的时候，也不想失去。而这种让它放手、放开，这个是前面就是这个心经里面，其实重点讲的就是这个。 当你意识到有一天人都会死的时候，你把今天的禅修，你把今天的坐禅当成是最后一次坐禅的时候，其实你就非常的自由了。当你意识到没有明天，只有现在的时候，其实你就会获得更多的自由。那观自在菩萨，他所说的这个依靠是哪儿呢？就是他的自由和和我们前面讲的空，它的依靠在哪儿呢？其实就是依靠于平静就是我们上次所说的无爱挂故，无有恐怖。是上次讲的，后面讲的是三世诸佛一般般若波罗蜜多故。然后这个里面提的三世呢，其实我不知道中文的翻译啊，老师刚刚说的是日语，日语里面三世其实指的是三个不同的境界，就是一个是欲界，还有一个应该是行界啊，第三个是超越界。我不知道中文是怎么翻译的，日语大概其实是这个意思。欲界就是指的好像你的欲望，你以欲望为眼，然后你以欲望为眼睛看到的这个世界，而那个行界指的就是一个形式，就好像你手机上有地图，然后呢，你看到的是手机上面的地图所指的方向，并不是现实的生活中你看到的现实生活中的一个位置，所以这是你只是看到了一个形式，而你没有看到现在。最后一个是超越的这个境界，就是他所说三世诸佛一般般若波罗蜜多时，他一般就是也是依靠，也要依照般若波罗蜜，就是我们说的这个心经。那其实那佛他依靠什么呢？我们前面讲了，对吧？就是没有挂碍，所以不恐怖，是吧？无爱挂故，无有恐怖。那佛他依靠的什么呢？其实因为吴芳老师他是禅宗啊，就是我们其实禅修和佛教里面有一些概念和观念其实是不一样的。禅修当中，它指的就是你无所依靠、无所畏惧，然后只是看到现在。而佛教里面呢，它指的其实是，呃，就是你从现在开始，只要你好好说话，好好善待别人，其实你就已经我们说就地成佛哈，你就已经是观自在菩萨。那当然，修成佛呢，它是一条非常长的路，你要经过几世的轮回，然后不同的修行。嗯，那我们说的这个观自在菩提啊，就是这个菩萨菩提，它因为我也不是专业，我不知道应该是菩提啊，就是它其实是菩萨，它其实是成佛之前的最后一个，好像最后一个形式。那这个成佛之前的最后这个形式呢，后面就是讲到了后面一句啊，我看啊，后面一句是后面啊，得阿耨多罗三藐三菩提，就是你在成佛之前呢，就是这个菩提啊，就是你会得到三种菩提，三种形式，就是三种菩提，在你成佛之前的那个形式，前是有三个菩提，就是无上正宗，还有正觉。嗯，一种无上的，就是不可比拟的，不可比的无上的和正宗的，就是我们所说的，嗯，正道，应该是要正觉。这个它有一个觉字嘛，就是我们说的，你要到达萨玛里正觉、无上正宗正觉三种菩提，就是你在成佛之前，然后后面最后一句呢是故知般般若波罗蜜是大神咒，是大明咒。然后后面是无上咒，是无等等咒，然后最后解除一切苦，真实不虚，故说般若波罗蜜多咒。然后我先说到这儿啊，就是他其实到这儿马上快要结尾的时候呢，他最后这一块儿，老师刚才挺有意思啊，就好像前面老师第一次读心经的时候，觉得挺超脱的，因为好像一直在告诉你，它只是一个形式，你要放手，你要让它走。但是他现在再来读这个心经，读到最后的时候，他觉得有一点点搞笑啊，就是好像你看电影一样，看电影中间插播了一个广告。那个广告就说你希望你们能来买这个薯条，买这个可乐啊，然后中间插播一个广告。你看到心经到这个位置，最后的时候，虽然藏传佛教最后这一部分非常重要，因为它归结于这个咒很重要，就是无上咒，是无等等咒嘛。但是其实从它一个禅修的一个 一个角度来说，它其实就是好像一个广告一样啊，你要来读这个咒，这个咒特别好，就是我们这个 mantra 心经的这个咒特别特别好，你要读，好像就是有一点广告的这个意思啊。那当然，那老师的一个见解呢，老师他的一个理解就是说，其实最后这个菩提哈、菩萨他其实想说，我们修行或者是练习，其实不是为了自己，而是为了，你是可以，就是你要分享你的习得，分享你的修行，其实是你练习当中的一部分。就好像这个观自在，他要上船，他要到彼岸去，对吧？他在修行，他要上船。他在上船的时候呢，他邀请别人跟他一起上船，不只是自己在练习，当然自己的练习非常重要，很重要，因为自己练习是为了自己，其实更多的是为了普度众生，为了别人跟你一起上船。同时，你要把你的练习分享给大家，其实是你修行的一部分。就是观自在，就好像观自在菩萨他在上船的时候，在邀请你跟他一起上船。然后刚刚老师讲了一个小故事，就是嗯，安胎寺在一个应该是那个山叫九什么山呀？中文叫九座山还是什么？我待会儿会查一下。就是安胎寺他们在一个小村子里面，在一个特别特别小的一个村子里面，那小村子每年都会有运动会，然后大家都是就是搞活动。那个运动会呢，参加的人就是有小朋友，然后也有可能上到75岁，下到几岁小朋友都会参加。然后每年都会搞活动。他们每次有一个保留的活动，安胎寺的这些僧人哈，就他们也被邀请，他们也去参加。每年有一个保留的活动，就是大家都会去拔河比赛。你看安胎寺都是一些青壮年哈，他们当然也有年轻，像吴峰老师这种年纪大一点，但是大部分去安胎寺修行的都是一些欧美那些比较健壮的年轻人，或者是大学生刚毕业呀，或者是就是年轻一点的人啊。按说他们拔河的时候人数都是一样的，可是每一次他们总是会输。拔河这个项目呢，安泰寺的这些人就没有赢过，总是会输。那为什么会输呢？就是村子里面的这些人哈，日本人他们村民们会一边拔河一边喊口号，就是我们中文可能是嘿咻嘿咻，我不知道是什么啊，就是他们会拔河。然后而他们那些欧美那些人呢，可能就是各个国家来都有嘛，他们没有一个统一的一个口号，然后可能每次就是1、2、3，1、2、3，就是这种简单的口号，而这些口号呢其实是没有节奏的。所以虽然他们都是青壮年，而且是欧美的那些我们印象里面很肌肉很发达那些年轻人，但是他们从来没有赢过，就是因为老师分析核心就是他们有口号。这些虽然村里边的人可能都是一些老弱病残哈，就是小孩到老人哈，小村子嘛，可能年轻人没有那么多，但是他们有口号，他们一起喊口号的时候，每一次都会赢。这个就好像就是其实后面，当他读到后面的时候，《心经》最后他讲，故说般若波罗蜜多咒，即说咒曰：揭谛揭谛，波罗揭谛。就是说，意思就是说，去吧去吧，到彼岸去。就是当你想要念咒的时候，你就会念揭谛揭谛，波罗揭谛，揭谛揭谛，波罗揭谛。就是这个就是《心经》的一个我们所谓的口号啊，英文可能都没有这个词儿，我不知道英文怎么说的。就好像亚洲人，中国、日本、韩国可能就是比较流行这个吧，我觉得我们可能很普遍。然后这个就是他的口号，就是所以当他有口号的时候，其实最后就是我们这个唱诵的一个含义。观自在菩萨他在呼吁大家唱这个口号，其实这个口号它没有什么特殊的含义，只是希望大家能够一起努力，一起到彼岸去，大概是这个意思啊。然后今天可能是最后一次，大家有问题可以提。
Thank you for translating. So we are already past 9, but if you have questions, anything you would like to share, then you're welcome to do so. Joseph, please.
Hi. First of all, thank you for going through this, because I think I was one of the people who suggested Heart Sutra as the next text. So thank you. My question was kind of simple, and it was just one about like translation as someone who doesn't speak Japanese or Chinese. Because I've been reading along, but it's a slightly different translation.
Yes.
And in the part which starts Kochi, Hanya, Haramita, Zeidai, Jinshu, Zeidai, Myoshu, Zeimu, Joshu, etc., the advert as you described it. In my translation, one of the things that it's described as, it says, it is the mantra of great mystery. Something like the second line of the advert. And I noticed that's not in Thich Nhat Hanh's translation. So I just wondered where that word or that theme of mystery or mysteriousness, is that there in the original text, or is that something that the translator of this version I've got has inserted into it, where that comes from?
So we have here, can you see the screen? Can you see the text on the screen?
Yeah, I can see the screen.
So that's what the Hanya Ze Dai Jinshu. Dai means, well, big, great. Jin can also mean a deity, or God. This could be mystical. What was what you read in your translation?
That part of it goes in this translation, thus they know that Hanya Haramita is the mantra of great mystery.
Great mystery.
Great light. Yeah.
Yeah, light is this one. So that's illuminating in Thich Nhat Hanh's translation. This could be, well, mysterious mystery, this character that in Japan is used to translate, or in Japan it also means kami, a deity, a Shintoist deity. And for some reason, Thich Nhat Hanh doesn't really translate this character. He says there is a great mantra, but it's a great, and this Shin, mystical. So you're correct. Thich Nhat Hanh is, how do you say, skipping this one. He's ignoring that. Mystical is one translation of Dai Jinshu that makes sense to me. Ze Dai Jinshu, Ze Dai Myosho, Ze Mutodoshu. Mutodoshu means there's nothing beyond, there's nothing above it. It's the highest one.
That character Shin can mean like mystery, but it can also mean like a kami.
Yes.
Is that right? Or?
Kami, yeah. In Japanese, it's kami. Maybe, I don't know if in China it also means a deity, like, or the Christian God is also represented by this character. The Christian God in Japanese would be that character.
Thanks.
Any other questions? Anything else you would like to share? No questions? Nothing? If not, well, thank you for coming, and sorry once more that I wasn't here last time. From next week, I'm gonna be away, but I think Xuanzan will keep the place open. So there's gonna be, or am I wrong? You're going to China for a month.
Yeah, maybe
Okay.
after I come back, September.
September, okay.
I can start again on September. We can do pranayama and zazen.
Okay, but this month there's gonna be no more Monday class. And I'm gonna be back in October. So thank you for joining. Maybe some of you I will see in Germany or Switzerland, and otherwise let's meet again someday in autumn. Here on the internet or on YouTube, wherever, or Sundays, I'm going to sit again in Osaka. Of course, during these next 8 weeks or so, there's no Osaka Zazen. Well, even when I'm away, there's some people sitting there. So if you happen to be in Osaka, you can try, but I won't be there. Either way, I wish you a nice summer, and thank you for joining. See you again. Thank you to Xuanzan for hosting us here and translating.